Hi, friends. Welcome to another live broadcast. This is, I think, the third one this week. I'm really excited about this. Today, I have my friend Katie. I forget. Is it Finsk or Finsky? Finsky, right?
Fenske, yep.
Finsky, Katie Finsky. I've
We're
had
real
her
good
on.
friends.
Yes, exactly. Years and years. We've served in the army
Wait.
together. So I'm here with Katie, and we are going to be talking about some of her photography, but also some other people's photography, and just talk about photography in general, and just have a good time. I've had her on here before on my channel. She has she has really interesting work that I would sort of define as kind of suburban exploration type photography. And Katie, first off, did I genre you correctly? And also, tell us a little about the type of photography that you do.
No, I would say that you called it suburban exploration. Yeah, I document suburbia as I see it. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, good.
I don't have much to
Um, yeah, so it seems that your goal is you tend to wander the world and find interesting things in quieter parts of life and people, or not people. I take photos of people. You tend to find the quieter, more introverted parts and find interesting things to home in on.
Yeah, I am more interested in the places people have been than where they are at present. And I'm just massively introverted and don't like to be caught or have to interact unless I'm just in that headspace, which I rarely am. So,
I like it. It's interesting because I think I'm an introvert, but I have a tremendous drive to challenge myself socially, uh, and I find a lot of happiness and fulfillment from that. Seems like you're an introvert, and you're just fine with being introverted.
I am. I have to push myself in other ways. I mean, I do enough freelance photography where I have to on. So when I'm just doing it for myself, I prefer to not have to challenge myself in that way, I guess. But I do, if I see somebody that is interesting to me, or if I'm just feeling especially bold, I'll go up to people and get their portrait. I just don't do it very often. I spent a lot of years as a portrait photographer and had to really really struggle through those photo shoots to the point where now that I'm just doing it for myself mostly, I just enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it.
I see. It's interesting. There's a part sorry, I'm just managing some echo here. There's a part of photography that I've learned that I have to spend a little bit more time doing the things that I just naturally lean into, and that like I sometimes I feel like I have to challenge myself, and I feel like I have to dig into the things that are extremely difficult for me. But I found that actually leaning into the strengths and the things that naturally come to me and give me more momentum is sometimes a better plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I can see how that works. I just at this point I feel like I've leaned into about all I'm going to lean into. I'm not saying I can't change, but I don't know. I won't get into all that, but I do it now. It feels good.
You've learned your DNA.
Yeah. I'm not unchangeable, but I know what I like at the time I like it. So
I see. I'm curious what what you want your narrative to be for your photography going forward, and what kind of is the driving story behind what you're up to.
I don't know. I think that I tend to kind of process how I'm feeling through creative outlets, whatever they may be. I mean, photography is not the only creative path I'm on. But it is the one that I'm on most frequently. That it's a way for me to just handle what's going on in my life at the time. And I think that's probably why I'm so drawn to quiet spaces, because I feel like I need that. I need a little bit more of that in my life. Yes. Yeah, very much so. So as far as a narrative, I just want it to be as truthful as possible. You know, but I also don't want to, I don't want to, oh God.
Sorry.
You're not there.
Sorry, I'm here.
Oh, that threw me off a bit. I want to leave plenty of room for other people to experience my photographs however they want to. I don't want to tell too much of the story myself, because it's I don't know, it's more fun that way. It's a mystery.
So it's almost like you want to share something that reaches out to you, and then let other people interpret it.
Yes.
I see. So I have here a couple of your photos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I stop for a second. I'm just managing some echo that's coming up, but we're doing good. Okay, so I wanted to look at a couple of your photos that I found to be interesting as of recent, and I was hoping that you could just talk a little bit about where you were, what you saw, why you thought it was interesting. And I'm going to start with this one because I think this one is really unique and interesting. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh boy, this one. So I went to a different part of town. I think I was between Greenville and Easley. I know that's not going to matter to most of you, but I was just outside of where I live, and I was chasing the sun that night. Was so beautiful, and I was just kind of up against the clock. It had been stormy that day, I think, or at least cloudy, and so the sun was kind of intermittent, but when it was out, it was just this beautiful rosy orange, which is my favorite kind of light. And so I was just desperate to find something to photograph, and I had gone down this dead end road, which was very dead end, and as I turned around, I came upon this place, and it struck me. I mean, had it not been for the light, I don't know that it would have struck me in the same way. But I also took this picture. This was taken with my phone. I also took it with my camera, and you can see more detail. But I remember wanting to just get out of there really quickly because the door was open, and I didn't want to be caught, because it just looks weird when you're in your, because I was in my car, you know, shooting out the driver's side window. So I just snapped it real quick with my camera and my phone, and bolted on out of there. But it was just about capturing that light and that up against those trees like that. I just thought it was very, it was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that I see, well, one of the challenges I feel like you probably come across in this type of photography is you're shooting in areas where people don't normally show up with DSLRs and phones and point them towards their houses and this sort of thing. And I can imagine that's a big challenge, just overcoming that weird social barrier. But also, I think what I love about this photo is and by the way, just for everybody who is watching, I want to be, I think we forgot to say this at the beginning. Katie lives in South Carolina, where I grew up, and that's how we got to know each other. We sort of networked, and I love the dynamic of her photos, because she's taking the landscape of what South Carolina is. 90% of South Carolina is this sort of vibe, not literally single wides, but this sort of vibe. And a lot of America is this sort of vibe. And it's just such a beautiful dynamic she has here with that. And I think what I like is you took something that is sort of mundane and something you would go by, and you saw the beauty in it. and you saw the trees around it and how it wraps around and sort of this creates a beautiful frame for this person's home.
Yes, I'm very interested in sort of elevating what people find mundane or just uninteresting. I find this very interesting. And then my mom said she grew up in trailers, and it every time I see a trailer, I think of her and I wonder what her childhood was like. And I don't know, it's just such a simple, clean line, and there's just a lot about it that is worthy of noting. And you know, I'll let other people make the call as to whether they find it interesting or not. But to me, it's interesting for many reasons. But a lot of it is
to me too.
Simplicity. Good. I'm glad.
Sorry, our neighbors are having a freaking dance party next to us. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, is it fireworks? Or it's gunshots? I don't know. Okay, so is it fireworks? Fireworks, July, and the rest of the year is fireworks. Oh, that's weird. I like your color dynamic here with this photo too.
The oranges and the greens, or
I like how the trailer sort of bounces off of the greens in such an interesting way. It's got a nice contrast to it and a little bit of blue at the top, and of course that streak of light going up the tree on the side and on the trailer as well.
Yes, I was kind of wishing I had taken it before I went to the end of that street, because in just the span of a minute, the light had changed so much at that point. But I guess people don't really need to know that.
It does that. It changes.
Oh God, so fast. Yeah, I don't think people understand how much I rush. It's funny that I do this as a form of therapy, and yet I often feel so so pressured. But that's the kind of pressure I apply to myself. That working against the clock. I'm not good at being fast at anything, but I'm good at being fast here. So.
Okay, let's look at another photo. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing a little bit of echo. I'm managing it. Let's see here. This one's interesting. Tell me about it.
I think. Okay, so there's this bowling alley, and the lights change. They rotate. They cycle through. Blue and fuchsia and bright green, and I think like an acid yellow, or I could be wrong, but red. And I sat there and I took a frame at each color, this frame at each color, and just love that blue. I mean, it's just so moody with that twilight sky. You know, this was really just about getting some colors and that arrow pointing towards the twilight sky. This was just sort of a study in shadow and color, and this was just one of those fun things for me. I felt nothing but joy taking this photo.
I love it. I like the weird splash of such an unnatural blue in the midst of all of the sort of muted tones that are going on, and I think this is a matter of just spending a lot of time wandering around aimlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really wished I had a person with me at this particular time. I'm pretty sure I was probably on my way home, just from being out somewhere, and because this was taken with my phone also, and I think I just saw it because it is on a path that I take a lot, and I was wishing very badly I had someone with me to go put under that light, but I don't know. I like it the way it is. It's just so quiet, and so the energy in it's really weird to me, and I of course enjoy that immensely.
I'm curious. Do you come across scenes and say, "Crap! If that scene had this sort of light, or if I caught it at this time." Like, I got to get back over here.
Yes, that happens more often than I would like for it to, but I do go back. I mean, I have kind of like a mental list that I keep, and if I've got some free time, I'll go. I usually know when to go back. I mean, at this point, I know throughout the year how the light's going to be in a particular place, and I will go back. There have been times though where I've gone back and the place was totally gone. You know, the building had been demolished, or that's sad. But you know, I figured it just wasn't meant to be. So there's lots of other places to find. But yeah, this one makes me really happy.
Tell me about this one.
That I'm trying to remember. I was out, God, like up in Marietta or something, which is a good ways away from where I live. Kind of more towards the mountains. And I don't normally like to take pictures in this kind of light. I prefer there to actually be sun. But there was just something very moody about that field with those, I can't remember I don't know what kind of flowers those are. I don't think, the picture's really small on my screen, but they're these like orange trumpet flowers or lilies or something. I think they're lilies. Thank you. But anyway, I just liked, they looked like they were tucking in for the night. I don't know. I tend to apply human characteristics to flowers, probably thanks to Disney's version of Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. No, I don't know. It was just really moody. I think my daughter was with me the night I took this. I just kind of pulled, I stopped. I made sure nobody was behind me. I mean, I was out on a country road, like, I mean, hadn't passed anybody for miles, but, you know, kind of stopped, looked around, and noticed no one was coming. So I rolled down the passenger window and took this with my phone.
You take a lot from your car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably a good 75% of them are just from my car. Yeah. Maybe not that many. Maybe at least half are taken just from my car. Because I literally a lot of times I only have seconds, and I'm just, you know, I'm driving around and I notice things and want to grab them. And that's also why I take a lot of them just with my phone. I like to go walking. You know, I have a few spots in Greenville where I enjoy getting out and walking around. But I don't always like to do it alone. And I don't always have somebody to go with me at the times I just up and decide to go. But yeah, so that's why a lot of them are just from the car. I think it's a safety thing too. I feel it's I won't get into it, but you know, being a woman by yourself can be kind of scary sometimes. And so I don't like to, past experience has taught me to be guarded. And so I feel pretty safe in my car. I can just take off. So.
Well, you do seem to put yourself in some desolated situations as well. And I think it's really interesting that you spend your time, you don't, I don't know, you don't feel like you need to get out of your car. It's just about getting the shot, and that's sort of your vehicle for finding it's the same thing as hopping up in a helicopter for somebody and, you know, shooting aerial shots.
I find that it's akin to, because if you think about it, if you're standing, it's about like a hip shot. You know, it's almost like that perspective. If you had, you know, camera placed lower on your body,
unless you drive a Hummer.
You know, one time I was having car trouble and I was borrowing a car, and it was an SUV that was up high, and it really threw me off. I was like, I don't like this. This is not my normal shooting height. And so it took some adjustments, you know, because it was one of those you had to climb up into. So I was grateful for the car, but I didn't take as many pictures when I had it. Or I had to get out, you know. What to do?
So I think what I really like, and notice I liked your photo. I hope you see that. I think what I really like, what I really like about this is for one, the flowers have this really the plants in the foreground have this really interesting dynamic to them. They're weirdly bright compared to the rest of the scene.
Yes.
I like that a lot. And
I'm glad you
also,
can see that. It was more obvious in person than it turned out in the photo, but
yeah, and well, and I think that that's something that I notice about the photo, and you tend to see really. I think that's actually a feature of really talented photographers is to be able to find that sort of light. That's hard to come across.
mm-hmm.
And I also think really what makes this photo set itself apart from another photo of a field that's maybe less interesting, because once again, this is a scene that you could look at, and if you could look at this scene and not see something particularly interesting to put into a photo
Mm-hmm.
by the fact that the elements just don't line up quite right. In this case, I think they line up because the field has this weird burgundy tint to it, and then you have the flowers in the foreground, and then you have this interesting muted turquoise kind of sky above, and it's like it's almost wrong, but it's right. That's what I love about it, and that's what I love about your photography in general. Is it's and a lot of people who do the type of photography that you do is that has this. It has this. It's almost wrong, but it's beautifully right kind of.
Good. I need to write that down.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I think, and speaking with Will, which for everyone else, Will is another street photographer that I know from that area, from living there. And Katie knows him too, and they hang out. They hang out from time to time. I think we've both have had that sort of sentiment about your type of photography, where the composition, especially, is almost. It's almost. It's the kind of shot that if you don't have the compositional talentedness, that the photo would feel very wrong and uninteresting. It's like it's almost a snapshot, but it's framed just right to make it just completely beautiful and fine art-esque.
Thank you.
So take that as a compliment.
I am, believe me. Thank you.
I'm just gonna have a meeting with you every week just to make your confidence go through the roof. That's my goal.
Thank you. I struggle with that. Ooh,
tell me about this one. And is that your daughter?
That is my daughter. Yes.
You used the people.
So, I don't mind hanging out with her. In fact, she's my favorite. This night was fun. I took a lot of pictures that night. I love me some fog. The fog was just so thick. This is on a stretch of road that I take a lot. And I pulled off into, I think it was a Freemason parking lot.
You can find plenty of those in South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. But so I actually did get out of the car, and I took several pictures of her. But I also had my camera with me that night. So this one, I saw it from the other side of the road. And I said, honey, do you mind getting out of the car?
And go walk through the darkness and stand in that light for me.
She was all about it. I was like, you want to go dancing under that light? And she's like, yeah. So she trotted right out there, and I don't ever make her do anything she doesn't want to do. I would have just taken the picture without her in it, but she wanted to do it. So, so she went out there, and I hung back for a minute and just got this one. I knew I wanted it. A lot of times I don't really know what I want. But I knew I wanted this. I wanted that light hitting that. Which it had been real rainy, as you can probably tell, and so I just really liked that reflection on the street there, and it's just so moody, and like, is that a figure out there? What's that figure doing? It's I don't know, the blue, the orange.
It's slightly haunting, but it's slightly sort of calm in an interesting way.
Yeah. I like for my pictures to give off that vibe. I like for them to look calm, but also somewhat eerie. Yeah. I like that one.
What does your daughter think of your photography?
Oh, it's sweet that you asked that, because just tonight she was telling me that I was the best photographer ever, and I forget why we were talking about that, but we were in the car, we were getting ready to come inside for the night, and she was telling me that you're the best photographer ever, and she really likes it. She was talking about the time back in April where I had my first show and at a gallery, and she was talking about that night and what she remembered of it, and she really likes it a lot, and she also knows that I'm kind of, you know, amongst my friend circle and stuff, and she's really proud of me, and that's, there's nothing to describe that feeling of your child being proud of you. It's just,
that's good to have that
it's
around.
indescribable. Yeah, so she really likes it.
Good. Hey, tell me about this one.
Oh. I don't know. This one was this is a weird composition. I struggled with this one for a minute, but the light was just so fantastic. And that door up there, that just looks like you're going to open up into nothing, which you would open up into nothing. I passed
that would be quite a step down.
Yeah. And I know a lot of buildings like that. I need to document them. These doors that just would open to nothing.
Well, you can find those. You can find those types. You can see that in like churches a lot, right? Where like a church, maybe it had a staircase going up to it at one point, and it's like the third story, and you look up and there's just a door that if they opened that door, they would fall to their death.
Yeah, get closer to God.
Maybe that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Those elderly people are like, you know what? I'm done with this life. I'm going out the door.
The door. They all know what it means. Yeah. This is getting way off track.
That's what I do.
I know. I don't think you want to go as dark as I could take it.
Oh, please, let's go. Fun.
No, this is the internet. Everything's this is not Vegas.
Fair enough.
This one is out on Highway 25, which I pass a lot to go to my sister-in-law's house, and this I think that's a car dealership. Anyway, just I'm always after some primary colors, and this was I don't know, blue and red, and then with the way the light was hitting it, it was giving this purple glow to it, and I don't know, it just struck me. That's why it's such a weird composition, because I literally just slammed on my brakes, making sure no one was behind me. Also a seldom traveled road, and I just not 25, the road that was going by it. 25 is a highly trafficked road. But I feel like it's really important for me to stress that I'm careful about this when I'm photographing in cars. I don't know what to say about it other than it's kind of weird, but I loved the color and just the tones. The tones. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks so
well, you're
proud to be there.
I think one thing that's interesting about your photos is a lot of times you'll find, and this photo is a great example of this, a lot of times you'll find that your photos contain some surprise to them. In the sense that this photo would, like, I like to sit down and I encourage any photographer to do this with the person that you look up to as a photographer. I try to sit down and figure out what would this photo work? Would this photo feel emotionally compelling if, for example, that blue wall was red as well? And I think what makes this photo have this interesting sense of pleasure and surprise as you go, oh, the whole thing's red. Oh, but it's got that weird blue wall over there. What's that doing? And it's just it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, there's so much of this magic. I guess it. I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere. I have people tell me that the light is not like, they're always like, how do you capture this light? And And I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, don't you have it? I don't know. I mean, it's just, but then somebody told me that the light is different here. I don't know. I don't know what your experience is with that from having, but
I don't think the light's different. I think probably the collection of elements that you can come across here is different. And by the way, I want you to visit this area sometime, because we have really interesting neighborhoods that you could wander through. Lots of campers and old airstreams, and I was walking through a neighborhood the other day, and I was walking through a neighborhood, I think it was probably maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and it's still winter. And I thought of you because I was just wandering around, and I was like, she would love it here. This would be like a playground.
Yeah, I'd love to come out to Utah. What I've seen of it is very impressive. One of these days I'll make it out there, and when I do, I will look you up and make you show me these places.
Yes, do it.
Yeah.
I have an evil plot to get all of my friends out here to visit.
I don't think that's evil. I think that's noble.
I'm trying to get people from all over. I have my good friend Michael, who lives in Houston at the moment. I'm pretty positive he's going to visit here soon, and I'm so excited because I'm going to give him the grand tour.
Oh, good. Enjoy that.
But
enjoy that. Enjoy it for me.
Okay, that's what video cameras are for.
Yes.
I'm going to show you a couple of photos that are from other people that you may or may not follow or know of, but you may in fact know of them, because I think I remember seeing that you followed some of these people as I was looking through the photos, because it shows you. And here's some photos that I wanted to get your thoughts on them and why you think they're interesting. I'm going to go to this one first. This is very Katie Fenske-esque.
Yeah, I do love. Jason Simon, yes.
Yeah.
I know Check into Cash. Love him.
I knew I'd find something that you know.
Well, I thought we're friends on Facebook too, and he cracks me up. He's a cool guy.
You can look at his profile and you're like, man, this guy's a character. I feel like
have you seen his burner account?
Oh no.
Yeah. I can't. It's a really long name, so I can't. I guess I could pick up my phone and look, but I won't do that. But
when you say burner, do you mean like rejected photos or something?
It's just he called it a burner account. That was how he labeled it.
Like a burner phone?
It's just I think it's just because he didn't want a lot of people knowing about it, but he made a post about it, and he won me. He had a picture of Chris Gaines, which was Garth Brooks' alter ego. I think back in the 90s, he did this album as Chris Gaines. And anyway, I was like, oh yes, Jason, I will be following this account. It's just a bunch of his random, he just has a really funny sense of humor. But his pictures, knowing what I know about him is only from the internet, but knowing sorry, I'm looking at a picture of him. Yes. Oh gosh, yes. He is fabulous.
Look at that mustache.
That shirt.
I wish I could be this compelling as a person.
Yep. I'd like to meet him one day. Hey Jason, let's meet up sometime. So the image, sorry, we got way off track. I love his work. He is minimal. He's about as minimal as they come. Very smart. I love this image. I love that the window's offset. I love the little slices of blue and green. It's such a Jason Simon. I hope I'm saying his last name right. It's Simon, but he'll correct me if not. Simon. I mean, I don't think it's Kaiman or Keyman.
Kaiman.
I hope it's Keyman. I don't. Jason, you're gonna have to correct us. Yeah.
It has a silent C. It's just Iman.
Maybe. yeah, this is classic. Checking the cash right here. He always has these shadows that are. Uh, I hate. It drives me nuts to have a telephone pole in my way. I've started just using them, but he always grabs these shadows. They always are very important in his work. He shoots at a totally different time of day than I would, and it really works. I mean, look at this billboard. Just whoa, it's so absurd. But
That's a great way to put it. Absurd.
Yeah, I really dig his stuff.
This is like,
as you can see,
like
Katie Fenske right there.
Oh yeah, right there. Yep. So this is, I mean, this is what, 4 or 5 o'clock, maybe 6 in the evening.
Yeah, I think he's in Mississippi. I don't know what the.
Oh, their days don't end there.
I went to Nashville back in July, and I was surprised at how the light was different up there. Actually, at a different. I don't know. It felt different at a different. God, there we go.
Look at that.
He's so good. It almost looks. It almost looks like graphics, like it was.
Oh, almost like clip arted together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Story.
He's got some good stuff. Yeah, I can scroll through his account.
Let's see here. He took the Doritos logo and put it in a photo. Oh, for a load. Come on. There you go. Look at that.
Yep, there he is with. I guess that's a truck like this. Yep. He takes pictures of things that I would never take pictures of, and he just kills it. I love it. Well, I would take a picture of that, but I would show so much more. He just really like hones in, like he knows what he wants, and he just.
Well, yep. I love that he has this. He, for whatever reason, he decided at some point in his photographic journey that he's going to go wander around the road that every other photographer avoids. And I'm going to go to the place where Walmart is and where all the gas stations are, and all the less eclectic places. It's anti-aesthetic. It's absurd, like you said.
But it's so him, yeah. I read an interview with him once, and it was so long ago. I wish I could remember more about it, but it would definitely color, what I was saying now. But yeah, he explained why he shoots the kind of stuff he does, and he had a really good answer for it that I wish I could remember, but I can't. Sorry, Jason.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, I think it was on Phone Home Press.
Okay. I believe you. This
Good,
one. So what do you think he's shooting with? Do you know?
What is he shooting with?
Yeah.
I think he's shooting with his phone.
You think?
Mm-hmm. And I also think that some of them he's cropping. I could be wrong. Like zooming in with his phone. But I could be way wrong. Ooh, I don't like answering that question. That feels weird. It's like, what color is your underwear? I don't know. Sorry. I just thought that I read that he takes pictures with his phone. That's why I think it's with his phone.
I bet so. It looks very iPhone-esque. I just realized I was crunching up a piece of paper literally into the mic as I'm talking to you, so I'm going to get rid of that. What do you think about this one? Have you heard of this guy?
Round the Place, yes. Is he Australian?
I don't know.
Do I have that right?
Sydney-based, yes. You got it. Okay. You win.
I know, God. I do my research.
I
do my stalking. I first was turned on. I think he did. I think Subjectively Objective had featured his work, and that was when I started following his stuff. He does some really. He's got that whole like calm, eerie vibe down. I think I read that he finds like abandoned amusement parks and places like that. And he's shot some really interesting stuff. I like that a lot.
Interesting.
Yep.
And once again, you have this light that's sort of mundane, but they make it work.
Yeah, those shadows are great. I love how that rail in front of that bush is really popping out because of that shadow.
Right. And it's just like buildings that I swear, buildings, so many photographers that would just avoid you would go nowhere near it. But I'm fascinated by photographers like you guys who have a mind to find the beauty in that stuff.
Yeah,
I
just find it really calming, and it's a good exercise. It's a good mental exercise.
This one kind of blows my mind a little bit.
God, I can't even figure out what it is. I'm not gonna get it.
It's a dam, I think.
Okay. God, yeah. I love the quality of light in his photos, and there's always sort of this like a misty look to them. Not necessarily foggy. They look wet.
They look wet.
That sounds weird.
He has a unique kind of cool aesthetic to everything.
Yeah, I really like his stuff.
Now, are you going out? Generally, when you're going out, how important is it that you find a specific time of day to find the right light?
It's pretty important. I sometimes like to challenge myself, and sometimes I'll take pictures in the middle of the day and get that super high contrast. I like almost all light except for diffused light, and I'm trying to come around to it. I get really frustrated if I'm shooting and the sun goes behind a cloud or something. It's challenging for me because I like for things to have a very defined
starkness
point of, yeah. So I think it's pretty well established that I enjoy golden hour, but I also really enjoy blue hour and twilight. Those are probably my favorite times to shoot because I love shooting streetlights at twilight. I mean, there's just the quality, the eeriness is definitely there.
Like the warm,
and it's fun to find because these places, of course, look totally different in the day, and it's so fun to find these little light surprises. Because you didn't. When the street light comes on and casts a shadow on something that you never thought it was that you never noticed was there until that street light was on it, literally spotlighting it. It's fun. It's a fun little game to play.
There are endless different versions of light throughout the day that you can find, and I think that's why it's so important to figure out the light that works best for your vision, because nighttime, going out at nighttime is fundamentally different than shooting in the daytime in a really special way.
Yeah, I used to not do it at all. I used to not ever go out at night. I was just like, okay, sun's down, and phone goes up, camera goes up. Ooh, I love him.
Oh, so you know who this person is?
Yeah.
Oh
Justin.
my gosh, 3 out of 3.
God, yeah.
I think he's
stalking me, James. Oh yeah, I love his stuff so much.
I assume Great Basin is referring to the fact that he lives in Utah.
That is my assumption as well. I've never asked him about it. He does great work. In fact, I would count him as an inspiration because I found him. Oh, let's see. It's been a few years, I think. I found him sort of early into my when I first joined Instagram, because I joined Instagram just to play around. I was still doing, I love that. I was still doing portrait photography when I joined Instagram. God, he is a master at getting that. He is excellent with light. I cannot say enough good things about him.
He's you, but at night.
Yeah. That's a fair assessment. I feel kind of bad. Like I feel like anything that I do is like less than him. I really have him up on a pedestal, and he's really nice too. So that's,
Oops.
oh God, I love his stuff. Yeah, you've picked some good ones.
I try.
For me to talk
I
about.
think that's what is that? A stick of butter?
Looks like
I want
it.
to poke it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how he just sort of cropped it off. Like he didn't get the whole sign in it. You know, he just sort of lopped off the edge there.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good.
Let's see here. This one's pretty interesting, I think. And so he's in Florida for this one.
Yeah, I remember he took some really interesting ones when he was back in Florida. I remember he sent along a really nice message once, where he was in the airport with another person that we both follow, and they were looking at my pictures, and I was like, that's so nice. Oh, look at that.
So Katie, I'll tell you about this spot. This is actually a smokestack about let's see, about maybe 30 minutes away from where I live. That is the tallest freestanding structure on this side of the Mississippi River. And I accidentally came across it when me and my wife were going out to the salt flats. And I was like, that thing is enormous. It's really tall. And this area, like if you did visit Utah, I would love to take you to visit this area because it's just this weird mountainous industrial, like eerie, otherworldly kind of landscape. And it's right next to the Salt Lake as well, which on its own is just this gorgeous desert, weird, like moon of Mars kind of thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Even if I couldn't photograph it, I'd want to just stand in the presence of all that. He has got, I love the light shining through that, or reflecting off of the smoke coming out of there. It's just so perfectly timed. God, what a great capture. He has this way. Everything is very cinematic.
I just noticed your comments.
I just noticed it too. Yeah, I'm Bud also. So Katie Fenske and Bud. That's me.
Now, Katie, I'm going to make a slightly educated guess that you like this photo.
A little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. When was that taken? 26.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, look, it's James.
So yeah, I wanted to show you. We're just gonna talk about it. No, this is the same area. This is actually, this photo was taken slightly to the right of that photo.
Okay. Wow.
And this was when the smoke from the wildfires that are sort of plaguing the West right now. The smoke is kind of coming through our area and creating this crazy haze and also destroying our lungs.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about it, but we had some wildfire. There was a wildfire up in Hendersonville, which 45 minutes outside of Greenville up in the mountains. It was in North Carolina, but it trickled down to us. And I mean, there was haze covering Greenville for at least a week, maybe more than that. And I was struggling with that. So I can't even imagine what it's like being out there in the thick of it like that, but it made for beautiful photos. I mean, I felt bad, but at the same time, I was like, well, this is what I've been given. So
So I'll go back to this one. There are actually mountains behind those sailboats, but you can't see them.
Oh, wow.
So it completely blocked visibility for
maybe that's a great image, James. I really like that.
Thank you.
How did I miss that?
And it's interesting that I was also able to capture the sun like that. That's part of the smoke because the sun's so dark. I was able to kind of get this interesting light dynamic.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the reflection.
Yeah,
of it. That's nice. Good capture.
It's like you can't find a horizon. It's just water, and then it goes into nothingness. It's pretty amazing stuff. Wow. Now I find this one really interesting. I don't know if you've heard of this person before.
Yes.
You have.
Yeah, this person, they post work by other people.
Oh, maybe so. You might be right.
Is that what? I think so.
Luxembourg. No, looks like they post their own work. Well, hold on, let me see. Oh no, you're right, because they're tagging. Yeah.
But it's always the same type of work. It's always these kind of otherworldly landscapes, if I'm remembering correctly.
This is an example of what I was talking about that you do some of, which is you have this sort of mundane landscape with, you know, interesting elements nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not belittling how beautiful any element is if you give it beauty,
right,
in your mind, but you take these landscapes that are almost sort of predictable in a sense, and then you find a landscape that has that, but then has this weird surprise in it, which in this case is this strange alien windmill that looks like it's about to kill everyone.
Yeah, and that's not a small building. What in the world?
Right. And the windmills are like, I learned that when I moved to the West. I mean, those windmills are enormous.
Yeah. Wow, and there's that snow. Cool.
Snow, yeah. Interesting, cool tones to it too. I think gives it a really cold vibe.
I like it. I love cool weather, so that's appealing to me.
What about this one? Like, goodness.
Yeah.
It's haunting, you know?
It is. It's very lonely feeling. I enjoy that a lot.
I love, this is the kind of photo. It's weird. I'll get up in the morning and sometimes I'll scroll through my Instagram feed, and photos tend to affect me differently in the morning when I just wake up. And this would be a photo that I would scroll through and I would have this really strong emotional impact. I think my favorite part of the photo is sort of this enormous snow hill that goes into the distance and into nothingness. It feels like a vast expanse of cold and nothing. And it's just, it hits you in the emotions.
It does. I agree with you. I want to see someone standing under there, but then I imagine standing under that light. But I imagine standing under that, it would almost be more depressing. I don't think this image is depressing so much as just kind of icy, but to have somebody standing there would be pretty depressing.
It's almost like
I would enjoy it.
It's cold and depressing, but at the same time, maybe it's just me, it's kind of inviting in a weird way.
Yeah, it's very compelling, the way it's shot. I really enjoy this image. It's
you know what it makes me think of? Like, one of my favorite things in the world is just rain at night, like just going and standing and like it's just you can just, like, it's a warm summer night, there's rain coming down. This to me is kind of a very similar vibe of that, of just this weird, endearing kind of coldness. I don't know.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
I like it. This one's pretty cool. Great Basin, once again.
Yeah, that composition, look at that.
And see, this is what you get in Utah. You get the South Carolina single wide, and then you get a freaking mountain in the background that's miles and miles away.
I love that. I love those clouds sitting over the mountain. You can see the shadow from the clouds sitting on the mountain, and then, God, that's a great image.
And I think he probably intentionally worked in that piece of metal on the bottom.
Yeah, that's a great. It plays so nicely with the those soft clouds back there.
And it creates a sense of depth too, I think. Having that bit of interest so close to the camera, and then you have in the middle ground you have the trailer, which is also quite interesting, and then in the background you have this just crazy beautiful mountain. It's got such a wonderful aesthetic to it.
Good. He's very smart. He hasn't been posting in a while.
Katie.
What?
When are you gonna fly out here? Come on.
I don't know. God, maybe when I'm just, I don't know. Maybe when I'm not so scared of planes.
You should just drive across.
You know, Yeah, I should have
there's an
caught a ride
idea.
with my friend. I had a friend who just traveled across the country, and she said you should come with me, and I'm like, well, one of these days I'm gonna make that journey with you. Oh, this is great. That's what is that? Sea mist or something?
See, yeah, it's got this weird, probably the morning too, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting to see how these photographers tend to. I think they pay attention to how their colors feel and how they use their colors to play on the light, whether they're shooting film or digital. The photo doesn't come out of the camera like this most of the time. I would be surprised if this one did. It's possible, but that would be some pretty miraculous light if it did. It seems like they, I think there are two different types of photographers. There's the shoot how it looks, and then there's the shoot how it feels photographers.
Yeah.
And this is very much a shoot how it feels. All of these have a very strong emotional presence to them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. What's so interesting about this type of photography to me is like I said, it has an emotional presence that you can't quite figure out at first sometimes. Like you have to dissect it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that to people who are, right, I think that to people who, West Virginia, I love it, to people who are, I think these are the photos that are not popular to everyone because they don't have a dramatic beauty to them.
Yeah.
But they're popular. They're just wonderfully genius to people like me because I'm going like the photo begs you to go, why did they take this photo? What were they up to? And it begs you to think about it and kind of intellectualize it and figure it out and go, why does this feel so nice? Even though I'm looking at a picture of what is that country Cracker Barrel.
Y'all have those in Utah?
I don't know. Do we have Cracker
Barrels?
That's
a Southern thing, right?
I don't think she said I hope not. I think that's a Southern thing. I've only ever seen them like in South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly always in the South, so I don't think I've traveled further west than Mississippi. So,
Katie, we don't have Waffle House over here.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Really? What do y'all have? Huddle House or anything like it?
We might. I haven't seen a Huddle House.
Diabetes rate is dramatically lower.
The diabetes rate is dramatically lower, my wife says.
Yeah, well, y'all are also out there hiking and stuff.
I mean, but where are stoners going to go at 2 a.m. in the morning? That's my question.
Really? Oh, man. Well, I guess that rules out Utah for me. Didn't we come on here to talk about drugs? Drug problem kicking the
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were supposed to be helping people.
I don't think anybody heard that part.
Come to Utah. You will recover from your drugs. There's no Waffle House. You can't exchange behind the Waffle House anymore. I think this is an interesting one, and I'm still trying to figure out why, other than sort of it's got this very coldness to it, and I think that you have this weird extreme of these pipes. It's a scene that you don't see every day. It's industrial, but it's pleasing, and like you said a minute ago, it almost feels designed.
Yeah,
love it.
That's a nice one. You're making me wish it was winter.
I know, yeah.
These snow pictures.
Yeah, that's one of the things about South Carolina is that you don't see that, you don't get that sort of vibe much, and if it does, the entire town blows up and shuts down.
Which is so lovely because walking through a light snow in the middle of the night is a different kind of peace.
Yeah.
It's just so.
That's exactly what I was trying to get at a second ago when I was talking about the shot of the light in the snow. Where did it go?
Yeah.
That one. This one right here. It's like it's a weird piece.
Yeah.
And to capture that in a photo is something that is beautiful, but it also takes time and talent to do well, I think. I find this one to be interesting. I think it's interesting because of the it's China. I find this interesting just because of there's a scary amount of smokestacks. it's almost I don't know. It's got a daunting kind of feel to it.
It looks like half of it's lit up and half of it's not. Am I seeing that correctly?
Like the left side's lit up?
Yeah, well I can see that, yeah, but it looks like there's no lights on. God, that's bleak.
On the right side?
Yeah.
Maybe they had a power outage. Maybe they had a power outage near. I think China's on the verge of exploding anyway, so it's just so much infrastructure.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like the path and the water.
I think these are all just scenes that weird people like us would like to wander around.
Yeah.
Yeah. China. So I'm curious. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm gonna drop the screen really quick here. Hey, there's my face.
Hey.
Now we're back to something really interesting. I'm curious if I had this thought that your type of photography, maybe mine to some extent, but your type of photography tends to be like, it's almost like it was a counter response to traditional landscape photography. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think we touched on this back when I did that other interview with you, about how my brother and I had been talking about the hashtag, yeah, that Greenville, and how neither one of us liked that hashtag. Sorry to those who created it. But, you know, he and I were just it was not the Greenville that we were familiar with. He was a code enforcer for the county at the time. And, you know, he saw a side of Greenville that even I would have a hard time every day. I've seen some of the stuff, some of the pictures he had to take for work, but just some sad situations.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, I don't have to think about how people are living inside, but he did. He had, and I kind of started getting away from places that looked, I don't know, it tapped into a side of me that I don't like to go to if I don't have to. But anyway, got way off track there. But no, Greenville to me is just so different from how their social media wants to present Greenville.
So
like
it's
hashtag,
like you want to present a truer side of, your Greenville.
Yes, and I've lived here. I grew up in Malden, which is just a little, you know, right outside of Greenville. And then, you know, I've lived in Greenville proper for 10 years plus at this point. And, you know, this is just I like truthfulness. I value truth above most things. And I wanted to present a more truthful view of Greenville for anybody who wanted to see it, because it's beautiful. You know, I don't think that people realize how genuinely beautiful Greenville is, especially not just searching through that hashtag on Instagram. You're not going to see how vibrant Greenville actually is. So.
Yeah, I think Greenville's it's my favorite place in South Carolina. I live there, obviously, so I mean, I have an emotional connection just by virtue of having an apartment 15 minutes outside of downtown. I think Charleston is another interesting part of South Carolina, but Greenville has a really nice. When I think back to Greenville, it has such a positive, sort of inviting vibe to it, but also there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of energy. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. You can find you can find places to be and interesting people to be around. I think for me, part of that was the fact that there actually is a pretty intriguing art community there. And you know, I visited while we were there. We visited Asheville, and like Asheville was amazing. I'm sure it has its own culture, but but like the difference between the connection I have to Greenville and Asheville, they're just two different cultures. And I describe Greenville as sort of like an upper class hipster type of vibe, at least in the downtown area.
Yeah.
And Asheville is more of this like, I'm going to hop on a train and ride around the country for 11 weeks and not take a shower kind of hipster vibe.
Yeah.
Lots of dreads and folk music and guys with whiny hipster singing voices.
I don't think I've come across enough of those, but yes, Asheville is not without its charms, that's for sure. I like to go there. There's it's really fun to photograph up there because of the mountains, because all the neighborhoods are like cut in the mountains, so it creates. I actually found a bunch of photos in a file that I forgot I took, and just driving through the neighborhoods in Asheville, like trying to get lost, like I do in Greenville. At this point, I can't get lost in Greenville anymore because I know where I'm at all times at this point. So, I couldn't tell you any of the street names, but I could.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not alone in that because I cannot keep any street names. I barely know the name of the road that I live on. I'm weird like that.
But yeah, so. I don't know what the original question was. We got off on such a
the original question or the original statement that I wanted you to respond to, which you did, is that landscape, that your type of photography, this sort of suburban landscape photography, is a response to traditional photography, and in particular landscape photography, and I guess my follow-up to that would be, I'm very curious, and I think we touched on this last time, but I'm curious what you think it is, what curiosity is within you that created a drive to go after this type of photography as somebody like yourself.
That's a good question. Well, when I was little, my dad used to take us out on these long, meandering Sunday after church drives, and as a child, of course, I thought it was so boring. I was like, why are you grown-ups just like driving around? What is this? And I get it now. Thank you, Dad. But every now and then we'd stop, and anytime there was a new development going up, like a new neighborhood, he would stop and get out, and we would look at the houses. Like we would, because those things aren't boarded up or anything, but we'd go look at these new builds and or in a state of newness, and we'd go looking through them, poking around, and I don't really know what the purpose was. I don't know why he was doing it, other than I think he harbored a desire to build his own house, so he's looking for ideas. I don't know. I've never asked him. But anyway, so I did that with my father and my brothers. And I guess I have a little bit of that in me. I'm just nosy, I guess. I like to see how people conduct their lives. I can't go past somebody. If somebody has their lights on and a window without a curtain, I'm looking. I'm looking to see what I can see because I'm just nosy.
Interesting.
I don't like to be intrusive. I mean, I'm not taking pictures of the inside of their homes. I just am curious. Maybe it's because I'm so introverted that this is how I relate to people, just to see how they live.
Is it your way of learning about the nuances of the world?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Possibly. I mean, I almost feel like an alien come down to study the earth and report back, my findings to the mothership. I don't know. I feel like I should be embarrassed about it, but I'm not.
That should be your Instagram description, because all these photographers have a ridiculous Instagram description that will take you 11 years to kind of decipher. Like I am the cheese burrito. And I'm like, where did that come from? But you should put that on there. I'm an alien reporting back to the mothership. All the other creative types would be like, that's so profound. Oh my gosh. This, I feel like that too most of the time. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I do it other than just I'm curious, I guess.
It's I'm sitting here right now. I have this tremendous drive to figure you out because I think it's so interesting because there's so many people in the world that sort of have us that are there's so many people in the world that pursue the normal version of things, and what you're doing is not normal. I mean that in a completely complimentive way. But you have there's something in your mind that I'm trying to figure out that is you have an inquiring mind, and I think your photography comes out of that. It's almost like your way of figuring something out.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by it.
Good. I'm glad.
I have my own version of that, I think. And so I look at other people and go, and when I see somebody like you, I just want to understand, not so much what it is that makes you think that a trailer is beautiful or whatever, because I understand that. I can find that sort of thing myself because I've always had that sort of mind to understand that you can find artistic beauty in anything that you look at if you choose to. So I'm not coming from that place, but the place I'm coming from is sort of this, what is it that intrigues you about it? And what is it that makes, what is it that makes you, what is it that makes you pour time into it?
I don't have anything better to do. No, I think that we're all just trying to find where we fit into this world, whether it's a microcosm or the world as a whole. And, we pursue it in different ways, and creative people pursue it with their art. And I don't ever feel like I fit in. And I've reached that point where I've accepted it and don't worry about it anymore. Once you leave school, it kind of doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't know. Why do I pour time into it? I pour time into it because I enjoy it. One. Two, I think in some ways, I think it needs to be done. I feel this urgent need to document Greenville before it changes too much. It's growing so fast. And, I mentioned earlier that I have made a point to go back to places and found that they weren't there for me to photograph anymore. And so part of it is just kind of a deep urgency. And part of it is just compulsion. I hate to waste good light and good a mood, and I don't know, it's really just I have so many feelings to process. I've had just a really weird past couple of years, and just like with personal issues, and so it's just kind of a way for me to kind of not be focused on myself and be focused on what's going on around me instead. So I don't know. I don't know if that was the answer you were hoping for, but
that was seriously incredibly fascinating. I think it seems like it seems like what you're doing is something that you can pour your energy into to maybe deal with. I don't want to say deal. It's almost like just something that that you just truly enjoy, and spending your time doing it is something that makes you a fundamentally happier person. And also, I think that I still get this vibe that you're doing it to explore and find something and kind of learn about the world. Like I'm the kind of person, I constantly feel this urgency, like you said, to learn about the world and figure out the deepest points of what makes this do this and where does this come from. And I think maybe you have your own version of that. I think that's where some of this photography comes from, is your drive to go to those places and just learn, just sort out your feelings about the world.
Well, and I'm also a collector by nature. If I were to take my laptop and twirl it around this room I'm sitting in, you would see that I collect lots of objects. And I in a way, taking these pictures is like collecting these spaces that belong to other people that will never be mine, that aren't rightful, that I have no right to, and also presenting them for other people to enjoy. But not just the spaces themselves, but like the whole mood around it. Just it's just documenting. It's collecting souvenirs, I think. Souvenirs of Greenville before they're not around to collect.
Would you consider yourself like a preservationist?
I've never really thought about it that way, but yeah, I guess what I'm doing is preserving these. I mean, because I've been taking pictures, in West Greenville, there's a lot of controversy around since it's growing so fast, gentrification, and the neighborhoods in that area are just so beautiful. It's a wonderful vibe that I get walking through there. Will and I walk through there a lot. And that's one area where I will walk through by myself and just love every second of it. But I do feel kind of an urge to preserve it as it is, because I don't know how long it's going to be like that. I think that it's going to change, especially within the next 10 years, if I'm still around this area.
Interesting. What do you find beautiful about those neighborhoods?
It's hard to pinpoint it. Well, first of all, the light that those neighborhoods get, I don't know, it's incredible. They're all these old mill houses. There's always people, there's always kids playing in the street. There's always people out in the front yards sitting on their porch. It's just it's very communal. My battery's dying. It's different from what I'm used to, and also sort of, and it goes back to my being introverted. I live in the perfect neighborhood for sitting out on the porch. I just don't do it because I don't want to invite people to come talk to me. I'm so terrible. No, I don't like small talk, and so I avoid it at all costs. But there's
we just made a beautiful connection, because I've realized how much lately in my adulthood, especially, that small talk is like, it's extremely difficult. It's actually really difficult for me. I have a really hard time with like, how's it going? Oh, good. Anything exciting happened today? Not really. Go watch Netflix. Like I have such a hard time with that. But these conversations this is what I strive for. And it's so easy to be present in these conversations for that reason. I think we share that.
Yeah. I just don't do well with the small talk thing. So I don't invite it to my doorstep. But yeah, I don't know. But I like witnessing other people do it. it's
Mhm.
it's nice to me, but
Observing the humans as they commingle.
where am I even from? Yeah, somebody just beamed me down. Yeah, I don't know. I
So
feel like that
I will
sometimes.
say this though, because I knowing you, I feel like this might mean something to you. What I've learned as I've studied my personality is that people like us who are introverts, even though we have a really hard time with small talk, one, we take, I think, social interaction very seriously, which is part of why it probably drains us so much.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I found that introverts tend to be, and I have a hard time seeing this in myself, and you probably have a hard time seeing it yourself. So this is why I'll say it. We have sort of this interesting, curious charm to us. And I think you definitely have that. Even though, like, in your mind, you're like, I'm so awkward. Talking to you talking to you is an incredibly pleasant experience, because you're just like, you're just you have an inviting nature to you.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm gonna talk to you every night.
I see. This is counseling with James.
Oh god. Yeah, that's great. Now I don't think of myself as charming, but I'll take it.
I would think so, and I think many people would think so. But I'm curious. So you less now, but you still do spend a lot of time shooting with your iPhone, and I think we spoke about this before. What drew you to seeing your iPhone as your tool of creation?
Convenience.
Okay.
And for techies who care, it's I use a Samsung. It's a Droid.
Oh, have you always used a Samsung?
Yeah, I think
No.
so. It's always been a Droid. Yeah, sorry. If that's
Freaking Samsung user.
yeah, I know. I'm so
I'm just
sorry.
kidding.
I'm a
Does
disappointment.
it have a good camera?
It's working for me. I like it. Uh, I started using it. Okay, so to understand why I use a phone now, I'd have to back it up a little bit. I mentioned that I used to be a portrait photographer, like a
It was 1953.
when the
It was a
mothership
good
landed.
year when the mothership landed in Roswell.
No, so I got into Instagram because my brother Michael had just joined and he liked it. And I was like, well, everybody else, I mean, who doesn't use Instagram? So I was kind of like late to the Instagram game. And I was like, well, I guess this would be a good time for me to practice landscapes, which I always hated. I hated taking, are you there?
I'm here. Do you see me? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. I don't know if you guys can see me or if you guys can see her, but there are technical difficulties afoot, and I'm talking to pass the time until she comes back. But while that time is passing, this is me trying to figure out what I'm going to do while the time is passing. I am going to talk about the time continuing to pass. Christina, have you seen Katie's photos?
I'm sure I have at some point in my life.
She's the BUDPNQ account. Look it up. I would be curious to hear your thoughts about it. Oh no, what's happening? You can go right there if you want.
Right where?
Yeah, just right there. I mean, you don't have to come over here. Like,
All right.
till she
Let's
comes
see.
back. Like I said, I don't know who they're seeing right now, but.
Hello, friends.
Oh no! Oh, did she? Oh, she left.
Rude.
Can you see me, guys? I don't know. All right.
I can check. Would you like me to check?
Yeah, go ahead and check. See what's up. She sent me a
Um,
message, I think. Oh no, I'm coming back to you. So she'll be back in a moment.
So about her photos,
Mhm.
they are first impression very Southern.
Very Southern. Okay, interesting. So I will say
I don't
that.
like giving first.
this-
I don't like giving my thoughts because I'm really judgmental.
So Christina is somebody who she
First of all, I'm his wife.
like she just understands my artistic weirdness, but at the same time it's funny to hear. So I guess we're listening to me. Is that what's happening? It's
I don't like
you're
because I'm such a judgmental.
you have your mindset is very much
It's good or it's not good.
it's good or it's not good, sort of I'll call it surface level.
Boy.
And I don't mean that in like a you just don't look at things the way I do.
Yeah.
She'll be right back.
But
She's gonna come be on camera.
I don't know.
Um
I'm not saying that her photos. See, this is where I get myself into a pickle.
You don't think they're bad.
I don't think
You
they're
understand them, even
I
though you don't
understand
understand them.
They are art.
They are art.
Yes. A tree is art. Everything is art, James.
Good answer. Good answer. Katie sent me a message
A
and
brick
said
is art.
she's on her way back. So she should be back momentarily. She had an internet drop out there. Come on over, wife.
What's up, fam? What's up? Hi, I'm Christina. I don't think I've ever been on the channel.
Yeah, you haven't. Well, nah, I don't know if you've ever been on here. I feel like you've maybe been on here once or twice.
You guys probably have heard our dog growling and barking because for some reason Utah thinks it's cool to shoot off fireworks in
Yeah.
September.
There was one point where I was like, where I thought the neighborhood next to us just blew up.
I thought that the fireworks stand like caught on fire.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on out there? I don't
Like,
hear
oh, that's
anything.
not normal. That's not a normal sound.
Excuse me, Cooper. So Cooper's our dog.
Christina, what would you describe the type of photography that you really enjoy as? Like, what's your love affair? Where's your photography love affair at?
Basic mainstream pop kind of like. I really like it when people are like edited like so hardcore.
Like the Taylor Swift of
Oh
photography.
my gosh, yes. I really like. So right now I'm learning. Actually, was over there learning about color grading because like that has been my creative struggle for the last year. Is finding a look that I like.
Colors can be incredibly frustrating and difficult.
Yeah. So mad props to you. Even though I don't like your colors, you've created colors. So good job.
It took a long time, and as I look back, it was like this weird almost like earth crust. Like if you think of the earth's crust, right? Have you ever if you cut the earth in half, you see the crust layers?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I started from the bottom, and I very slowly over years and years and years built on top of the looks that I already had.
Yeah.
And it slowly evolved into something that it is now.
And what's funny is next year you're probably going to cringe at your colors.
That's how it goes, right? Yeah.
I think that's just part of the creative journey is create something today knowing you're not going to like it tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. Maybe, it's maybe like 3 months from then. Because like in 3 months, you're going to have learned so much from what you learned today, from what you know today. Does that make sense? So with the knowledge that you have 3 months from now, you're going to criticize the work that you've made today.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so what were you asking me?
And
what kind of pictures do I like?
What photos resonate with you, and why do you think they resonate with you?
I
go
like
to your likes, Christina.
Let's see. How do you go to your likes?
You can go you go here.
You guys, this
you
is a tutorial.
The cog, and then
photos
go to
you
post
like. Okay,
photos
cool.
you like.
So
you have babies.
Yeah.
I send her puppies all the time.
I know. Oh my gosh. So this is a good example of a photo that I like. Here, I'll bring it up. Oh, I can't
Katie's
send it.
looking at the email hangout link again.
What's it? I don't know how.
I bet
so
you do.
I really like. I just posted a picture of like just anything with water. Honestly, anything outside.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah.
It's Katie. She's back.
Oh, I've been replaced by another woman. I gotta go. Goodbye.
Very quickly. Hi, Katie. That's okay. It happens. Did your power go out?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You just had a little internet meltdown.
Yeah, my laptop died.
Oh, okay. I see.
Are
Yeah, you
just-
mentioned that. I should have. Well, I wanted to.
I didn't think it was going to go out when it did. I mean, I had 5% left. I guess it shuts down. Sorry, it's a new laptop. Getting used to it. I know better.
Oh no, quite all right. Hold on, let me see. Where did my QuickTime go?
Oh no.
Where did it go? Oh goodness. Is it movie? But now, oh, that's gonna be what it is. But no, that's the wrong one. That's like from an hour ago.
I know.
That's like my notes.
You ended it.
Oh, it's movie recording. Okay, well, Christina, I was gonna show them. We won't worry about it. I was gonna show them the photo that you love.
It's fine, James. It's fine. You're good.
There we go.
You just let me do technology, okay?
Okay, so yeah, Katie, while you were gone, I brought Christina over. I was like, what kind of photography do you like? And then she said, this is a great example. So Christina, tell us in your layman's growing artist terms, but somebody who is still growing at the art of photography. I mean, you do a great job, but someone who
let him call you a layman.
The peasant, she said, just let you call you. You just let me call you layman. That's what she said. I have to. What do you like?
What does that mean?
Oh, I should share this.
So
gosh, we're going off the rails.
I know
here.
I'm a peasant of photography, and I'm not good at all. I mean, if you look at my Instagram, it is subpar at best. Here is a plug. This is my Instagram. It's at ChristyRed94. Please give me a follow because I am.
Oh, I have to present it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, jerk.
Go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
So this is my Instagram, guys. Make sure to give it a like, a follow. Most of them are James. Most of them, honestly, are James's photos with a different edit. For example, just because they're good. But I took this picture and I'm really proud of it. Anyway,
that's a great picture.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So pictures that I like, this is the most recent outdoorsy kind of adventure-y picture that I like. And I like pictures on Instagram for three main reasons. First main reason is it's just a cute picture of like a dog. Second and third is it's adventure-y and it's a place that I want to go. So this is
it's emotionally compelling in that way.
Yeah. So a lot of times this is I don't even know where this is. Iceland. See, duh. I want to go to Iceland, so I kind of bookmark it. I use it as a strategery kind of thing, and I find
that's
the location.
Not
yeah, it is. I use it to like find the location of
the girl on the left. She wasn't Iceland.
Yeah, wherever I want to visit. Anyway, so I just like pictures that make me want to go take pictures there and basically replicate the picture. I'm a really subpar artist, honestly.
Now, Christina, I would argue that the reason why you like this photo is there were a lot of, I'm glad you're here.
The colors are good too.
There were a lot of elements that came together on a fundamental artistic level that appealed to your senses because this photographer is obviously a gifted photographer. In other words, our photography and the amazingness of our photography as photographers, I'm speaking to other photographers here when I say this, is not just for us. The photography speaks to people who don't think like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't think like me when it comes to photography. I'm sitting here tearing apart the photo in dramatic detail, right?
You're like, okay, well, her stride. Well, I can do that too because I've been around you for more than 30 minutes. I can tell that he likes the stride that the person has.
Expressions important.
She doesn't have an expression. She's a coat, but the colors of the photo, that kind of stuff. But I think the main thing in this, I mean, honestly, it's not that. It's an interesting photo in the fact that obviously the waterfall. The waterfall. Why can't I say that word? Waterfall.
We call the waterfall back at home.
The waterfall, yeah.
That's what they call it in Iceland.
That's what they call it in South Florida.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the water
where there's no waterfalls.
Yes, the waterfall is gigantic in the background, so it's a sense of scale. And her stride is just so stridey, and you've got the warm tones in her jacket. She's the subject, and you've got the bright blue tones in the waterfall, and you've got the brown tones, and obviously it's good enough to be liked by James. So
hey, I didn't like that.
Hey,
take that back.
No, you like
no,
that
you
picture.
take that back.
That is a good picture.
You
James.
take that like back. Go away. So I guess what I'm saying is that the fundamentals of
I break up the photo really
I think
well?
you did. I think you did.
I'm an artist.
I think that the fundamentals of photography, it's so important to learn them, because whether you're a photographer or not, there are things about any art form that are compelling to everyone on an emotional level by the virtue that our minds turn that information into something that's pleasing to us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That goes super intellectual right there.
Yeah, James goes way deeper than I ever care. But I appreciate the fact that you're a deep thinker.
And
I feel like we're making Katie the third wheel. No. I'll leave. You guys can do your date thing. It's cool. I understand.
I wanted you guys to meet.
Hi, Katie.
We haven't met yet.
I don't think we actually have met.
We haven't. No, I know who you are. I know your face.
I know your face as well. I know your name. I actually know how to pronounce your name better than James does.
She's a better friend.
What can I say?
Shame on you. Yeah.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks for stepping in when I fell off.
Anytime. That is what I wake up in the morning expecting to do. So.
Okay.
That was really rude.
All right. We're hey, Katie, I think that thank you so much for working so hard to come back and get everything in order. There was one point where I saw a notification that you had looked at the email again, so I could tell that you're trying to find the link and get back in here, and everything was going AWOL. And the trouble is I don't know if Christina's got an apple.
Guys,
it's time to party.
I'm so excited. I thought I didn't have any more. Yes.
Eat your vegetables.
It's a fruit.
She said it's a fruit. Where was I at? What was I saying? Oh yeah, I didn't know if they were seeing you or if they were seeing me. Sometimes in the live stream,
I heard they were seeing me.
Right. So I just kept going. I didn't know what was going on.
I'm so sorry. I had no warning. It just was like shutting down, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Not the time.
Yeah. Okay. So the last thing I will ask you before we wrap this up for the night, and I'll let you go to bed because it's what, freaking 11 o'clock there or something.
It's almost 12.
Almost 12. Oh goodness. And you have a daughter. I can't do this to you.
That's what allows me to be able to do this. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You get used to it. I'm fine. You're fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm gonna make sure that you get your sleep because it's very important. I need to get my sleep.
Somebody needs to.
Everybody needs their sleep. I heard somebody came in to I work at Starbucks, and somebody came in and said, there's a study out that says everybody only needs 5 hours of sleep a night. And I was thinking, I was like, if I had 5 hours every single night, I would not be a good person to be around.
Maybe that's the real reason I'm an introvert. Nobody can stand me around.
It's just a lack of sleep. You
5 hours is like a good night of sleep for me.
Yeah. Well, and that's, and that's certainly a bit of hustle that you have to jump into if you have a kid. Specifically, I would assume in the beginning bits of bringing up the kid.
They're preparing for that. Mm-hmm.
I saw your eyes dart up in disdain of the past, all that you've gone through.
Oh boy. It's worth every second of it.
Yeah. The last question I just wanted to ask you was that I was curious what your goals are moving forward. Do you have any sort of interesting defined things in your head that maybe one day you want to do, or things that you're moving towards right now?
There are people that I want to collaborate with. There's a guy over in England that we've been following each other for a long time on Instagram, and I'm really trying to pull together a space for us to have a show. I would like to show our work together.
Like an exhibition.
Yes, I want to. Yes,
mm-hmm.
I want an exhibition of our work, because he takes pictures of people, the kind of people that you would think would inhabit the places that I take pictures of. If that makes sense.
I see.
He's drawn to the kinds of people that probably, I don't know. His Instagram handle is Lords of the Earth. His name is Carl. But he does fabulous portraits, and he's way more extroverted than I am. But I think our work would pair well together. So I'm trying to get that going. There are some other people locally that we're talking, or like in the talking stages of collaborations. Different projects. Some of them aren't. They're photography related on my end, but maybe not necessarily on their end. Just quite a few collaborations. I like working with other people. Kind of motivates me. And then I would like to show my work again. That was a fun experience. But I don't know. When I started out, I really didn't have any kind of goals for myself. I was just goofing off. When I cut off earlier, I was saying that I started taking pictures with my phone just on a lark to try to practice taking landscape photos, because I didn't like taking landscape photos. So it was a way to practice. That was how I started. But so I never really, I'm surprised at all that I have followers and people who are interested in what I'm doing. So I'm still trying to get used to that. And I'm glad that they're interested, and I would like to produce things for them to continue being interested.
So two things that came from that I think would be really interesting to try. First thing is, and maybe this is exactly what you're thinking of, but you and this guy Carl, you should take photos of the living spaces of these people, and Carl should take photos of the people who live in those living spaces.
Here's the thing, though, is he's in England.
Oh, yes. That's problematic.
Yes. And so I'm trying to find a way to, but that's what's so great about it, is he has found the people who would live in my spaces that I document. And I mean, Of course he could come here, I guess, and photograph them, but that's not fair of me to ask. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea that we're taking pictures of the same thing, just different ways and on entirely different sides of the ocean.
All right, we're setting up a GoFundMe for you to get a flight to England.
Oh gosh, I'd love that.
We'll get you a little puddle jumper. We'll get you a plane.
Yes, I'd like a bigger plane, please.
Oh, you know,
it's always little ones to
but little planes are cheaper. When their motto is, you might get there, that's when you're going to find the really good flights.
I'd like to make it across the ocean and not into the ocean.
I don't understand that impulse.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's something we've talked about, and I'm trying to get going. I'm not always great with these things, but
very good. I like that. The other thing that I would be interested in seeing from you, and I don't even know exactly what those would look like yet, but a photo story type of dynamic where you dig into something on a deeper level, or something where you integrate yourself into a specific environment in a deeper way. I don't know.
I have a series, it's on my website, called The Fork, which is about
a fork.
It's called, yeah, The Fork. It's about the fork. It's about my sister-in-law, who is technically, she's my oldest brother's ex-wife, but she was my sister for 20 years through marriage, and it's about her new home and her new life and how I still fit into it. So that's something that I've been working on for at least 5 years. And I add to it, but it's an ongoing thing. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, that type of thing. But it's definitely,
I think that's certainly a version of that.
Yeah.
Like one example of a photo story that I just spoke about with my friend Michael Duke, who's another photographer. He's the guy I mentioned earlier, who lives in Houston. His work is tremendous. And he followed his 93-year-old grandmother through the process of having knee surgery. She fell and she broke her patella, and which is a fun word to say, but not fun to break. And she had to go through the process of knee surgery and rehab, and he followed her through that in a very intimate way and kind of captured that. With you, what would be interesting is seeing you capture that, something like that, even if it's not about a specific person, even if it's about, maybe it's about an environment where stories happen in your own way. I don't know what that means, but like in my mind, that would be really interesting.
That's something to think about. I'll have to pick your brain about that off air at some point.
Like I almost think of like what comes to mind is maybe like, I don't know, like for some reason, and I think this is kind of going off of the last thing. It's like a place where like a nursing home or something like that, and the environments there are so interesting, and this is a place where the people spend the last years of their lives, and like what it would be such an intriguing thing to put your mind to, is how you can capture that environment, maybe have people be in it, but like be a smaller part of it. Oh, I don't know.
I've for a long time I've wanted to take, I have ideas kicking around up here. I don't spit them out because I don't know. I'm holding back, but I do have, I'm not satisfied. I'm never satisfied. I'm insatiable. But I do have some things that I'd like to sink my teeth into.
Well, if you have an idea running around in your head and you want to verbalize it and figure out how to flesh it out, I would certainly love to talk at any point in time.
Good. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, I think at this point, it's a good idea to end this one. I don't know how long we went. I expect for these things to go like 45 minutes, and they go for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well,
it's great.
It's great. It flew by, so.
That means we're having a good conversation.
I think so.
Very good. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up for now. Hopefully we will have another conversation with you, Katie, very soon. I hope to make this a repeated thing. And I definitely want to do more live streams on this channel in a consistent way. And I think that you would be a really, really fun part of that.
Okay. Anytime.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, have a lovely night. Thank you, Katie, again, so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for jumping through the hurdles of downloading an alternate browser and all sorts of fun stuff to get yourself seen.
It's worth it. I'd do it all over again.
Oh, that was really sentimental. That was a tender moment that we had just then. Katie, have a good night. I'm gonna talk to you after we finish this thing anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone else have a good night.
Y'all have a good night.
Bye, everyone.